Premarin. I like to joke around and saying I'm the wild doc. I like to bring wild things into your healthcare. Going to talk about healing and healthy hormones tonight. So I'm excited. I want this to be interactive. I want you to ask questions throughout, so it can be much of a discussion. But I want to help you all. I'm going to give you foundational principles, things to apply to your life to get your hormones into better regulation and better balance. So quickly, this is the current status we are dealing with in this country right now. We have more hormonal issues in our women. We take the most drugs to treat these conditions out of any country in the industrialized world. So we obviously have an issue. I see a lot of ladies, some males in the audience this evening. This will apply to both. And how many of you deal, and you're here specifically because you've been dealing with hormone issues that you want to see improved? I see ages from probably some maybe in their teens to 20s on up to 60s, 70s. Anybody want to volunteer? I'm probably the oldest one here. So our current health status in America right now, number one, we are the sickest industrialized nation in the world right now, and that goes across the board between males and females. Female population right now, though, specifically, we have 1/4 of this nation right now taking some sort of mood or mind-altering medication right now, and many of them are on multiple medications. My mother at one point in time was taking 15 medications, anxiety, depression, fibromyalgia medications, narcotics, lots of things, sometimes even anti-seizure medications. So that's where we are in mental illness. 27 million with thyroid disease, 13.8 million with infertility issues, and I would guess that number has risen since the statistics are a couple years old all the time. 40% of men over the age of 45 are dealing with low testosterone, and menopause, countless. We don't really know the number that are going through that. That is a normal time period of life, but yet it can be a very devastating time period of a woman's life. Basically, it's the time when you stop menstruating, but it's also a time when they start getting severe hot flashes, anxiety, insomnia, and am I speaking the truth, ladies? Any of you? What irritability? Exactly. So we want to give you some things maybe that will help you weather that storm, we'll call it, ease those symptoms, improve your overall health, mood, maybe even save a relationship or two in the meantime. So reports of 3-year-old girls starting menstruation in this country. Put that on there because the earlier you start menstruation, all the research shows that it increases the odds of almost every single health condition, especially those that are hormone driven, such as breast cancer or female reproductive cancers. So we have a major issue. How in the world do we have 3-year-old girls starting?
Soy milk.
I would agree with that one. What else?
Cow milk.
Cow's milk, the hormones, the xenoestrogens, the things that we are consuming, that we're putting on our skin, that mom's getting, and then almost flooding the baby's body with those hormones, and many of those hormones you can't detoxify very well from. So we'll talk about detoxing from estrogen. Estrogen is the number one, high estrogen levels is the number one hormone issue in females right now. So hormone replacement therapy is the primary medical treatment for hormone disorders right now or conditions in the female population. Premarin and Prempro, the reason I have a picture of a horse there, does everyone understand where they get Premarin? Pre-mare urine. That's what it is. Okay? Yes. Pre-mare urine. That's what Premarin is. So basically, 2002 to 2003, we saw the largest decline in breast cancer rates, a little over 7% decline in breast cancer rates in the United States. It is the single largest. A doctor from MD Anderson, that's why I wanted to read the article, was this direct quote from an MD Anderson Texas Medical Center. A doctor there said this is the largest. We did something right that time. That year, just prior to that, we did something right. And guess what they come to find out? The prescriptions of Premarin and Prempro The Nurses' Health Study showed that it radically increased the rate of breast cancer and even stroke and heart attack in women who were being prescribed these medications. All right, for every year you're on it, 8% increase in breast cancer risk. For every time, whenever you quit, every year after, 8% decline. So it's almost a direct relationship between these drugs. And what they found was in 2001, prescriptions for these medications was 61 million prescriptions for Premarin and Prempro. Welcome, welcome. You're all right? 2004, 21 million prescriptions. So significant decline. I always like to note, every year, if you look at the statistics, is the rates of breast cancer and female cancers, many of them hormone driven, are they going up or going down? Which direction are we going every single year, except for this one basically? We're going up. We're seeing more and more women stricken with those cancers, diagnosed and going through invasive treatments for breast cancer, many of which never. How many of you have been through breast cancer here? Any? Okay, a couple. Do I mind asking for a little participation briefly? Yes. It's okay. That's okay. Just answer a couple questions if you would. When you sat down with the doctor after your diagnosis, one of you or both of you, did you ever have a doctor sit down with you and ask you if you were on hormone replacement therapy? No. Ever in your life? Did they ever sit down with you and talk to you about symptoms and issues that may signal or indicate high estrogen levels in your bloodstream? Were either of you diagnosed with a hormone type driven breast cancer? Yes. Positive. Okay. Did they ever talk to you about ways to reduce estrogen exposure from like xenoestrogens, foods such as you already mentioned soy? No soy. So that was the main mention there.
It's in everything now.
It is. It is.
It's the filler or
the
carrier.
Yep. She's talking about soy, so we'll talk a little about that, how to reduce that. Now, there are conflicting data out there because when you look at Asian studies over in Asia, they see that women there consuming a moderate, a little bit higher level of soy, but oftentimes fermented or not sprayed, such as what we would call our organic type soy. So there's problems there. So I think it's ironic that the single largest effect, the best thing we ever did to reduce the rates of breast cancer in this country was to stop a medication. What do we put a ton of money into? In donations, government funding, money towards developing what? Cures. And what type of cures are we looking for? Pills, medications. So the number one thing we ever did to reduce the rate of breast cancer and save more women's lives by preventing breast cancer in the first place was to stop a medication. Meanwhile, the money right now to find a cure is going towards looking for a medication, a silver bullet that will correct your cure. Chemotherapy. We're using things that we've used for 40, 50, 60 years now. We're using the exact same things. We're not looking at strategies in which we can actually address the underlying causes of almost any health condition outside of cancer, in fact, as well. Our country right now and the way our healthcare system is basically run is it's a treatment of symptoms. So that's often why if you go through menopause or a woman starts to deal with hormonal issues, imbalances, it's not let's seek out the lifestyle factors that would contribute to those hormonal disturbances. No, we just give a medication. We take a blood test. Oh, that level's low, so let's give this drug. Let's give a thyroid hormone medication. Let's give some estrogen. Let's give some progesterone. That's our healthcare system right now. And that's really not delivering health, is it? It's not getting people healthier. Whatever they're exposed to, what's that?
Helping their pockets.
Helping their pockets, the doctor's pockets, not your pockets. I had one patient actually ask me about, I believe, she was literally like distraught. She's like, I believe God brought me here tonight. I need to learn something because I am suffering. For one, her insurance company decided to stop paying for a medication cream that she was using, and now no longer can afford that. And trust me, I'm a male, and I hope that I'm not being, and will not be throughout this entire report, I'm bringing you information that I've learned. I have not dealt with hormone issues. I'm not a person that could lead you through because I've been there. I have not. I'm just trying to do a lot of, yeah, right? I've never dealt with PCOS, the severe menstrual cramps. I've never dealt with any of that stuff. So hopefully as a male trying to teach things that have to do with the female body, hopefully you can respect that I'm trying to give you the best information that I've been able to. I'm just trying to fast track you in learning more about how you can help yourselves, because reality is I'm not the one who's going to heal any of you. Many of you are patients in this office. I'm here to help guide you in the direction that you can heal yourself, because that's the only way health will ever be reached, is through doing the things necessary to correct your own physiology, correct your own function of your body, and change the things necessary in your life to do so. So these are the major players: estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, cortisol, thyroid hormones. Those are the major hormones in our body. We'll be talking about that. I want to talk about this specifically because, raise your hand if anybody's ever been prescribed a cholesterol medication. Anybody ever been prescribed, told by your doctor you should take a cholesterol? Who's heard of cholesterol statin medications? Raise your hand. Practically everybody in this office right now would say, I've heard of statin medications. They're supposed to be one of the blockbuster drugs. This is going to save humanity from heart disease, right? Did it? No, it didn't at all. Cholesterol can be used as an indicator for when your body is fighting more disease and more inflammation and more stress, but it is not the cause of disease. End of sentence. End of story. It does not cause heart disease. It does not cause heart attacks. It does not cause strokes. All right? The research is there. It's proven 100% cholesterol is something good for your body. But we measure the levels of HDL and LDL, and we call one good and one bad. HDL is supposed to be your good, and LDL is supposed to be your bad. And to hammer this home, because if you're on a cholesterol medication right now, that could be very well be the reason you're dealing with hormonal issues. Because when you look at this chart right here, what's the number one thing? What's the first thing in this flow chart? It's cholesterol. So what does cholesterol do for you? It's the building block. It's the foundation, material, hormone your body needs to build every other hormone in your body. So if I eliminate cholesterol, what do I do to everything else downstream? What do? We stop the production of it, and we distort the ability for your body to actually produce good hormones and keep them regulated properly. So cholesterol is needed for the production of all these different hormones, okay? Pregnenolone being the mother of all hormones, which actually allows you to sleep, allows you to regulate things like anxiety and mood and depression, can be improved through increasing pregnenolone. But the only way to do that would actually be to increase cholesterol. So when do you start? When do most women, okay, we're getting younger and younger, just like we're seeing more and more young ladies deal with menstrual issues at a very, very young age. When do most women, what are some of the age ranges? Shout this out for me or participate. When are some age ranges we start to see some of these hormonal issues occur in women? When did you start?
Start what?
Hormonal issues, if you have them. I'm just going to point to some people. Puberty? Well, okay, so we had major disruption all the way back then? Okay.
No, I'm just saying.
But when do most women, what are the age range? We would probably say, like, some will start in their late 30s, 40s usually.
You mean perimenopausal?
Yes, there we go. Okay, thank you for that. Have not yet.
No.
We start in the 40s.
Chemotherapy just
Stopped it, wiped it out. So, 40s. Well, statistically, they show, according to the Framingham study, which is one of the largest heart studies ever conducted up in Framingham, Massachusetts, they showed that women and men with higher cholesterol, once they're over the age of 43, there's an inverse correlation, meaning the higher, or a direct correlation between the raising levels of cholesterol after the age of 43, not before. After the age of 43, the higher the cholesterol, the better the quality of life, the reduction in cancer risk, the reduction in stroke and heart attack risk, the higher the cholesterol was. What? Who said that? Yep. Because guess what? If you have more of the cholesterol, more of the foundation, the building blocks, to be able to produce these quality hormones that help in regulating many of the functions in your body, regulating stress response. And stress response is the biggest issue we have in disease right now. If we can lower the stress response in the body, we can effectively improve the body's ability to heal and function properly. Simple as that. So cholesterol allows you to produce all these hormones. So if you have more of that building block, what are you able to do more of? Produce good hormones throughout your life. Now, what are ways in which we can basically alter the proper ratio? Okay. Exercise, we can improve the ratio, increase HDL through exercise, yes. What are some other ways? Nutrition. See, the reason we would need more LDL, the quote-unquote bad cholesterol, it is not bad, but I'm going to use that term because that's what everybody is used to hearing, is that there's a bad cholesterol. Well, LDL is the smaller particulate size of cholesterol. It's used as a transport protein to actually transport lipids to damaged tissue, all right? And it does that for the repair of injured or damaged oxidative stress, those types of things that would damage the arterial walls, other muscle tissues, brain, nerve function, neurotransmitters. It's used to transport those things, and then we call it the bad because it puts down the spackle. But it doesn't remove the excess. It just brings enough and a little bit more, and then it's HDL's job to come in and clean it up. You want more of the guys that keep it clean, the HDL, than you want of LDL. Okay? Does that make sense? So by changing nutrition, those things, you're ultimately reducing stress, oxidative stress, inflammation in the body. Thus, your cholesterol levels will improve according to the number. But even in natural healthcare, natural medicine, you oftentimes see this is a supplement that can lower cholesterol. I'm like, we shouldn't even talk in that terminology. We should not try, because that perpetuates the lie that has been told to people that cholesterol is bad and you must lower it. Do you follow me? You should never try to directly lower cholesterol. You should try to improve your body's function, reduce stress, reduce inflammation, reduce those things necessary to where, in the majority of people, the cholesterol would have to go up to repair more damage. You want just enough to be able to produce the hormones that you need to keep your body under a normal turnover of cells and healing natural or the normal amount of inflammation in those things on a daily basis. Okay? So any questions about that? Yes.
Triglycerides would be different.
Triglycerides would be different, yep. So 10 ways to balance hormones naturally. We're going to talk about 10 primary ways that things you can take home tonight and start to apply to your life to help balance out your hormones. Well, stress, I thought that pretty cute, especially since I have a new little baby girl. It brings so much joy into life, but so much stress for my wife, it seems, because babies are needy, right? Is that a time of stress? And then your hormones are all out of whack, right? Are we going to eliminate stress in our life? No, we're not going to eliminate. You need to either reduce or cope. Those are your two choices when it comes down to situational, financial, job, your relationships, whatever it may be. Okay, you have to learn how to either cope, counteract, or reduce. That's basically the simple choices that we have. What are some ways to cope with stress? Go to a chiropractor. Thank you very much. There's a plug. Faith? Thank you. Holly, thank you. That's excellent. Exercise, right? What are some other ways to cope?
Guided imaging.
Guided imagery, meditation, prayer. Okay, if you're in a stressful situation and you're in an argument, sometimes it's better to not continue that argument, but what? Take a step back. Take some time away. Say, let's come back and let's have a conversation rather than an argument, and both of you will get much further. Okay? Coping ways, okay? So that's when it comes down to stress, but that's individual. There's nothing really I can say, here's the silver bullet, here's how you cope, here's how you do these things. Seeking therapy at times, necessary, or just friend and mend. Seek out a friend, somebody you can talk to, have that person, or find a person that you can speak with. And a lot of times it should be outside your spouse so that you can share things that frustrate you. No, The spouse is great. If you have that relationship, great. And sometimes we need a best friend, those types of things. Do you follow me? What's that? Go shopping. Another coping mechanism. Well, when my wife goes shopping to cope with the stresses that I've caused, well, then I guess I got myself to blame when I've got the stress of seeing the credit card bill, right? So this is a guide for men to lower your wife's stress hormones. Okay, there's actually been studies done on this, and I always have to mention this before I go in. The studies have been done to show that the wife or spouse of a husband who helps with chores, especially in the evening, around dinner time, those things have lower cortisol levels at night. Thus, they're able to go to sleep, get more rest, wake up rejuvenated, have better levels of sex hormones, those types of things. If they help. So it's who wears the apron. We all should. We should all try and take part, help out those things. It's amazing what it can do for relationships, amazing what it can do for a spouse's hormones. So, that's a plug for the husbands out there. And let's just be frank about it, if you're frustrated that your spouse is not in the mood in the evenings, well, you know what? Picking up the dishes off the dinner table, washing them, putting them away, helping put away the leftover food, that may be all it takes to reduce enough stress to improve hormones. That may be. So think about those ways. But there was actually a woman one time who, going through what's the word again? You said it earlier. Perimenopause, those times, dealing with the depression, the anxiety, dealing with the hormonal changes that she was going through, actually wound up murdering her husband. Okay? Should have used the dishwasher, man. Yeah, exactly. Should have used the dishwasher. Should have washed that darn dish. This really happened. Her defense, her and her lawyer came up with, guess what? Temporary insanity.
I can use that.
Nita's like, I can use it. Temporary insanity due to hormones. Yes. So, even better reason. So, eat more healthy fat and cruciferous vegetables. Those are the primary two things that I want you to increase in your diet. One, cruciferous vegetables will actually help with the metabolism of excess estrogen in the body. They are also the best way to increase glutathione. Glutathione, when produced by the liver, will help your body detoxify, and that will help you detoxify from things like phthalates, plastics, chemicals, heavy metals, different things that your body needs to rid itself of, so that it can free up a cell receptor so that the hormones your body produces can actually adhere to those cells and properly signal for the production of hormones. Does that make sense? Okay, those cruciferous vegetables, especially cabbage, those things, I highly, highly recommend fermenting as many foods as you can. Cabbage is one of the easiest foods to ferment. Okay, the best way to do it was if you were actually to grow your own cabbage in your own garden, to where you know that there's no chemicals on it whatsoever. You are growing that, and you take it straight from the garden, peel out the outside layers, and as much as you can, try not to wash it with a general tap water that has chlorine or fluoride in it, chemicals that would kill the bacteria that is on that, but those soil-based organisms, okay? Soil-based probiotics are something we're lacking in our life, in our health, in our digestive tract, primarily that is adding to obesity and other immune system dysfunction and other B vitamin deficiencies. So these are major problems we're dealing with right now. You could go literally next door and get B12 injections. A lot of times it's simply that you don't have the good bacteria in the digestive tract to properly break down the food that you're consuming and then to produce those B vitamins that your body needs. Also, okay? So fermenting is an easy way to actually ferment cabbage. You grate it, you chop it up really finely, okay, put it in a big old bowl, spread sea salt over the top of it. I'm not giving you exact amounts here. It's a general recipe. That's what you're going to get tonight. And you work it, okay? And then you'll see that liquid water starts to come out of that cabbage. And cabbage is one of the easiest, and you can add other things to the cabbage to ferment them along with it, but it's one of the easiest ways to not have to add any water whatsoever to your fermentable vegetables. All right. We get fermenting stones, these glass, they're easy to clean. You could go out into the river or stream and find a rock. Smooth rock would be the best, nice shape, round shape. Put that and you cover, so you use like a mason jar. We use one of those like half-gallon mason jars, and you stuff that cabbage down in there, okay? You press it to where the liquid comes to the top so that all the vegetation is below the surface of that liquid, of that water, all right? So you mash it down and then you use a fermenting pebble. There's glass pebbles you can get like on Amazon and different places like that. You put that on top so that nothing comes up, because if it's on the surface in contact with air, it has a tendency to mold. Well, if there is anything like that, all you really have to do is scrape off the top the other way or pour off the top right afterwards. Okay. Another way to protect it throughout the fermentation time period is to use lids that have a spout that are used for fermentation that will allow air and CO2 that's produced from the bacteria as it eats away at the sugars in that vegetable that you're fermenting. It'll allow the CO2 to off-gas. You would not want to screw a top on a fermenting vegetable. You may have an explosion and come in and there'll be mold everywhere in your cabinets or in your pantry. But adding fermented vegetables is one of the best ways to improve your overall health and well-being and hormone balance. So healthy fats is the other one. And primarily healthy fats. Again, these are ways to increase good cholesterol, okay, to downregulate inflammation, stress hormones, to improve cognitive ability. Walnuts are one of the best for brain health. It's amazing that the walnut actually looks like your brain. I think that's simply amazing. It's wild to me. So flax seeds, honorable mention to flax seeds for things like hot flashes. All right, they show that a tablespoon roughly of flaxseed ground fresh is the most beneficial. I was talking to a patient, I think, earlier today as well. We're talking about whether you should get the pre-ground or get the whole seed and grind it yourself. I recommend the whole seed because as soon as you grind up a seed, it will start to break down. It will start to decompose. And through that, you lose a lot of the nutrient value to it. The healthy fat changes, those types of things. So whole flax seed and freshly ground. I use a Vitamix, spread that over our salads. We keep fresh flaxseed and milk thistle in our pantry to where we pour both of those in the blender, grind them, spread that over our salads, and we eat those. So wild-caught salmon is another great source of healthy omega-3s. Avocado, high in omega-9s. You need a proper ratio of healthy fats. Olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Have to mention whenever I talk about olive oil, we must stop cooking with olive oil, or when you do use olive oil to cook, you need to cook at a very low temperature because olive oil is a healthy fat, but an unstable fat at higher temperatures, thus it'll oxidize, turn rancid, go bad, cause inflammation in your body. So the oils currently, I stand firm on saying coconut oil is the best oil to cook with. It's the highest in pure saturated fat, and it's very, very stable. The molecular bonds, the carbon bonds of that oil are so strong that they do not denature at high temperatures. Ghee, which is ghee is like butter. It's like the most saturated part of butter. So it's another one that can be cooked with moderate temperature, not extremely high temperature. If you're the higher the temperature, typically you want to go with the coconut oil. Okay, they do show they do say that avocado oil. Do not cook with vegetable oil. Completely rid your pantry of vegetable oils immediately. They cause hormonal imbalances. They cause oxidative stress in the body because when you try to extract a fat from a vegetable, it really wasn't supposed to be a source of fat. You actually will cause a lot of, very quickly it oxidizes. It goes rancid very, very quickly. So it's almost impossible to get a, quote, healthy fat extracted from a vegetable. So adaptogenic herbs, these are things to add to a supplement regimen to improve. Most of these you will see are, again, what I stated there, adaptogenic, meaning they help and aid your body in adapting to stressors. All right, so ginseng. Oh man, I forgot. I switched on the other computer, but I wanted to show you a picture because I really want to stand behind what I believe in. Is there are so many things in nature, kind of like this right here. This is passion flower. Oh, it's already starting to wilt. Should have put it in water, taking it home to my wife, right? So, but ginseng, wild ginseng, I believe it's, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe it's 5 leaves, and it comes off in usually 3 to 4 stems off of a main stem, and then it has a bunch of very small red berries. Those grow in this area typically on hillsides. There's only certain seasons throughout the year that you are to harvest those things because you want the root to grow as large as possible. You want the ones typically with at least 4 stems coming off of the main stem because you don't want to harvest them too early because there is a major market for the dried root. Dried root can cost and be sold for around $800 to $900 a pound of dried root. Impressive, right? How many of you are going to start a career in hunting ginseng right now? So, but it's one of the most powerful and potent adaptogenic herbs, improving mental clarity, improving hormone, reducing stress, and improving your body's capability of adapting to stressors. When it comes down to it, if you want to break down whether you're going to get a disease or not, it comes down to one thing: your ability to adapt to the stresses placed upon your body. Because some people come in contact with certain amount of chemicals, stressors, and their body's able to adapt to that, detoxify, take care of it, store it in fat cells. It adapts properly, thus it doesn't stop the normal hormone regulation in your body. Meanwhile, somebody who can adapt to that same amount of chemical stressor, they're the ones who would get the active disease or condition. The ability of your body to adapt is whether we survive or not, basically. Okay? Holy basil, you can grow that yourself and you can make tea. Tulsi tea is something that you can make and look for. It's also holy basil would be called Tulsi as well. It's supposed to be the elixir of anti-aging, so improving sex hormone binding, those types of things, and again, reducing stress hormones like cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that when your body stresses and cortisol goes up, other positive hormones are going to go down. All right? Put an animal in a cage, put them in a zoo, in fact. What happens to many animals, female animals, when we place them in captivity? They become infertile. Why? Outside of their normal stress. Simple as that, stress. Cortisol goes up, stress hormones go up. What happens to good sex hormones? It's a defense mechanism. It really is. Infertility can be a defense mechanism in some females because their body is at an elevated stress response. The body is perceiving a danger. They've seen in studies and the reason is meat products can change and alter hormones. They don't allow your body to metabolize estrogen even if it was just your own estrogen. All right. So they've seen in vegans, vegetarians, individuals eating a high plant-based diet. All right. Having much lower rates of infertility. So when I'm coaching females on how to overcome infertility, number one, we look at the different foundations that go into proper hormone regulation and ovulation. We look at spinal structure, any misalignment in the spine that can induce that stress response, put pressure on a nerve, alter function of that area of the body, or we look at the dietary factors that play a role in that. And those are primarily, I would say, dairy and meat products, chicken, poultry being the worst when you're considering standard way of raising the conventionally grown chicken. So those things reduce. If you're going to, when you look at adding organic into your diet, organic on your meat products, animal products, because of what is called bioaccumulation. So an animal is not just going to have the toxins, they're exposed to in terms of in their environment. They're going to accumulate it primarily from what they eat. Okay? So every time we spray grains or the grass or the fields that these cattle go out and eat. The grains that we feed these chickens are raised in fields that are growing genetically modified organisms. They are grown with high amounts of pesticides and herbicides, and we have to keep using more and more because the weeds are so intelligent that weeds are getting to the point where they're herbicide and Roundup resistant. So then you have to spray excessive amounts. So those. And how do herbicides and most pesticides function? How do they work? They're hormone disruptors. So there's a lot of people out there who will say there is nothing wrong with Roundup, it's biodegradable, it'll break down, it'll disappear. Did it break down or did it disappear from your soil because it ran off into the streams and lakes and rivers? Which one really happened here? You know? So, but they disrupt the hormones. Even plants, animals, insects have hormones. So if it disrupts those hormones, guess what? It harms the animal, the plant, the insect, kills them. And then, what's that?
Honeybees.
Honeybees, yep, sadly. Yep. These endocrine or hormone disruptors is what they are. So what are they going to do to you if you consume a food product that contains those pesticides and herbicides and those types of things? Did anybody read the, the reality is it was pulled off, it was retracted, okay? A study done in rats on GMO soy, Roundup Ready soy, looking at the rates of breast cancer in rats, all right? So they fed these rats and a group not fed Roundup Ready or GMO soy, then fed the other groups of rats, Roundup Ready, and just GMO and Roundup, you follow me? So there's several groups of these rats, they did this. And they did this study, and they fed them over the lifetime of the rats, and they saw an 800% increased rate of uterine and breast cancers in these rats.
Which ones?
Which what?
Which ones?
The Roundup Ready and the GMO. So it's those. Slightly elevated in the GMO alone, and then normal. Now these rats are used in clinical and laboratory testing to test the hormone disruption or the cancer risk of different chemicals or food products, those types of things. So they are prone, they were made to be prone to cancer so that they could see how something added to their life could effectively cause more cancers, okay? So these are the rats they use. So it was retracted because Monsanto, the maker of GMO soys and Roundup, said that's an illegitimate study. They raised havoc. They just bashed these researchers, almost ruined their career, and said they can't do studies on those rats because those rats are prone to cancer in the first place. So they got the study retracted. What studies said the GMO crop and the Roundup was safe and didn't increase breast cancer? Studies done by who? Monsanto. What type of rats did they use in their safety studies? The exact same rats that were used in the study proving an 800% increase in breast cancer over the lifetime of the rats. How long did Monsanto do their safety study? Like 90 days, 3 months. The other study carried out 2 years, the average lifespan of a rat. Do you want to know your risk of developing cancer in the next 1 to 2 years from eating soy, GMO, or Roundup Ready GMO corn or soy and those types of things? Or would you rather know your cancer risk over your lifetime? Which one matters? The next couple years or your lifetime? Your lifetime, obviously. Should that study have ever been retracted? No. But now you can see the ability for a major chemical or food manufacturer and money, you can see what money can do to the facts, to the research, to the things that keep you and your family safe. So just a note on that. Ashwagandha, another adaptogenic herb, probably the best one for lowering cortisol levels. Maca, probably the best thing in root that you can use to increase sex hormones, testosterone in males. So maca root. Licorice root, another one that can actually, in adaptogenic, all of these can do both. Meaning if your body is low in thyroid or high in thyroid, it can help your body regulate back to a normal level. So it can help either or. It helps you adapt, that's it. Okay? Licorice, again, is one of the best for low cortisol levels, so basically adrenal fatigue. Now the thing with licorice, though, eating too much of it could increase heart rate, increase blood pressure to the point where you could be put on a blood pressure medication. So you want to monitor that if taking licorice root as a supplement. Rhodiola, another one for mental clarity, mental focus, stamina, those types of things. Used in Russian military and athletes. I would guarantee you there are quite a few Olympic athletes right now supplementing with those types of things. As long as they're, I would, if I was, because I don't think it's illegal. I may be wrong on that, but rhodiola is a very good one. Cordyceps mushrooms, those are good for, again, a type of adaptogen, but they really help with like immune function, filtering of toxins out of the body, those types of things. So heal leaky gut. Leaky gut, it's kind of what it sounds like, is your intestinal tract becomes too permeable, meaning that whole proteins, things that are not fully digested, can come through the barrier of the gut into the bloodstream, such as gluten, other proteins, get into the bloodstream, cause an immune reaction to it because it's not fully broken down. All right? This can cause autoimmune type responses in the body. I was explaining this to another patient today, talking to her about going because she had a hormone imbalance. She had high prolactin. There's very, very minimal research out there in the natural health field or any field at all. Medicine doesn't really have anything for it. So talking to her about that, finding one study that going gluten-free was able to lower prolactin levels and possibly inflammation to the pituitary, those types of things. So I had her go, and she decided she would start that today and start really looking at going gluten-free. She asked, how does gluten occur? Why does so many people starting to become, have celiac diagnosis, celiac disease, or gluten intolerance meaning that you're not necessarily completely allergic to it, but it does have a high inflammatory response in your bloodstream or a slight immune response. Or intestinal problems as a result of eating gluten. Gluten is a protein in most grains, many grains. Way to reduce gluten is to ferment or to sprout grains. The problem with the majority of our grains today is we've genetically modified many of them or hybridized them to the point and grown them specifically to create more and more starch or more gluten, because gluten is used in so many things. It's like a sticky glue that they can now use to make noodles and different things that are processed, almost in everything processed out there. If you're buying something in a box, I'm telling you right now, it probably contains gluten, okay? The majority of them. So just one example, but what leaky gut is it can come about because of antibiotics. It can come about from high stress. It can come about from, again, those herbicides, those chemicals, from drinking water from the tap, sadly. Because guess what? Why do we add chlorine to our water? Why? To kill bacteria. So if we consume that same water that contains a chemical that kills bacteria, what is it going to do to your good bacteria? That's the reality of the world we live in currently. So what do we need to do? We really need to invest in water filtration systems that can eliminate chemicals from our water that we consume and drink. Bottled water it's one of them arguments. You can go back and forth. There's opinions out there that say go bottled water, but then there's the other side. Because of the plastics and the phthalates and the chemicals, and some bottled water is just tap water, and that's all there is to it, sadly, yes. I'll tell you what I did one time. When I was going to chiropractic school down in Florida, they had a natural spring, a cold spring. It was amazing to go swimming during the summer in Florida because it was nice and cool. It was actually in the 60s. And I would swim down with my snorkel gear because there's this huge cave where the water would gush up. And it was like literally you swam up the river, and you'd have to swim really hard to get up to the fountain, basically. Swim way up there, got to where this spring was coming up out of the ground, and I would swim with my snorkel and fins as deep as I possibly could and basically jar water from that spring, and then I would drink them throughout the week. So if you all want to do that, you could. You maybe have to take a semi-truck down to Florida, and we'll start doing that. So those are ways that I did it. Those are.
Jar for you instead of
See, can you see why I'm like the wild doc? Because I like to go out in the nature, into the wild, and be like, this is how I can heal. This is how I can be healthy. These are unique ways to get around, having to have all the, luxuries of chemical water plants. We're getting to a day and age that either we need to supplement or we need to grow our own food and take care of our own soil. That's really where we're getting to, because soil and mineral deficiencies are rampant throughout even many of the organic farms, those types of things. Because of tilling, you lose a ton of minerals and nutrients from the soil when you till it, okay? You disturb soil. So no-till type gardening is one of the best ways to do it. Utilizing wood chips is one of the best ways to increase good, healthy bacteria, a normal, healthy soil. You could say biblically we come from soil, we were made from soil, so it's amazing that the good bacterial ratios that are in a healthy digestive tract are also sometimes similar to those in healthy soil. So wood chips over the top of cover your soil if you do till it, or when you break the ground to plant something, cover it, whether it be straw or grass clippings or wood chips, those types of things. It preserves, it protects, and then that will start to decompose, returning carbon and minerals back into the soil. So that's a way to improve your own gardening there. Okay. I always pull weeds and I'll either throw them in a pile and save them, or I'll pull them and just throw them down on the ground. Throw them back on the ground and then let them die on top, and then they decompose and add the minerals. So I'm not extracting, because those plants have taken some minerals from the soil. So if I throw them out of my garden constantly and never replenish those, I'm losing minerals every time I do that. Does that make sense? When you cover it, sometimes it really suppresses. So that's why I save grass clippings and things like that. So talking a little bit more about healing leaky gut, an important factor there. Again, reducing the amount of chemicals you're taking in your body, whether it be from chlorinated water or antibiotics and antibiotic soaps, those types of things. Please, please, please get rid of all antibiotic soaps. The FDA recently came out and said there is no proof that antibiotic soaps are safe for human use. Thus, they now requested that the manufacturers of the antibiotic soaps that are now selling, that they want them to go ahead, just like they allowed Monsanto to do their own safety studies on their food and products. So I don't really trust that. I'm just the film. Your skin is permeable. When you get that stuff on your skin, it's in your bloodstream. It can kill the good bacteria in your digestive tract, okay? On your skin, that protects you from foreign invaders, those types of things. Increase the good, you can shield away or combat the bad, okay? So first off, reducing the chemical toxins that are going to kill the good bacteria that creates that healthy gut barrier. Fermenting foods, another way to increase probiotics as well as increase the digestibility of the food you're eating, such as cabbage and other things, cruciferous vegetables. Starting to do things like bone broth, fasting, ways to give the digestive tract time to heal, to recover, to repair. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of work to digest food. Okay, so giving the digestive tract time to heal and relax is a very, very beneficial thing. All right, I'm not talking about starvation, I'm talking about just simply fasting. And fasting is beneficial to your metabolism, is beneficial to your health, beneficial to your hormones. Another one, I'm just going to mention this dietary plan, but it's a ketogenic diet. It's a high healthy fat diet, moderate amount of protein, no starches, no sugars, so you couldn't even eat pineapple or berries, okay? Because there's too much sugar. You want to keep your insulin from spiking, and insulin is another hormone that oftentimes will actually counteract the benefits of other good hormones or suppress the production of other quality hormones. Okay, so that's more of an extreme case. Ketogenic diets are very, very hard to adhere to, but they are using, I say that's more of a therapeutic recommendation. If you're at the wit's end, you're like, I've tried all these things, now seeking out significant detoxes or going intensely on healing the gut or doing a ketogenic diet are necessary. But I want you to take the foundational things that I'm teaching you here tonight. Cortisol is the midsection fat. Yep. The hormone that causes the midsection. Yeah, the stress hormone. Yep. Ways to lower cortisol, again, adaptogenic herbs. Lowering exercise can, now exercise I will talk about, I don't know if that's the next slide or not, but I have a slide on exercise, talking about the benefits of the right type of exercise to lower cortisol levels instead of raising cortisol levels. Chiropractic care has been shown to lower cortisol levels very, very well. Again, chiropractic care, when used for the purpose of enhancing nervous system function, what I do in my clinic is different than just a pain base. If we get somebody out of pain, you can lower their stress hormones, okay? But chiropractic care that specifically looks at the autonomic balance of the body. We do a heart rate variability testing. Many patients have done this. Many patients are just going to be doing this in the near future because we just invested in this. Heart rate variability studies are the best way to show the sympathetic, which is your fight or flight system, and your parasympathetic. Which one are you dominant in, or are they in balance? If you're dominant in sympathetic system, it's basically meaning that your body has a poor adaptability. It's high sympathetic, stuck in that fight or flight. Thus, you're running from a tiger, your cortisol level is through the roof. So if you're stuck in that high sympathetic tone, which can occur from abnormal positioning of the vertebra in the spine, misalignment, subluxation, so that's one manner. So studies have shown by getting chiropractic adjustment specifically to improve neurological balance, lowers cortisol. Eliminate toxic products. We've talked a little bit about that. Again, that's one way. Get rid of the sources of chemical toxins first. Always think about it in terms of a river flowing into a body of water. Your body being that body of water. Well, if the river is just constantly bringing toxic waste into that body of water, does it make sense to try and just treat the body of water and try and filter that out? What makes more sense? Go upstream. Stop putting the toxins in to that body of water or filter it upstream first. Okay. So environmental working groups, Skin Deep Cosmetic Database. I will be getting this up on my website very soon, some references for these type of things. I'm working on that. Website is completely, basically new, brand new. I've just changed over here in the last few months. But that, you can look that up. If you were to Google environmental working groups, Skin Deep Cosmetic Database, mentioning this because the majority of cosmetics created in the United States and used in the United States are containing xenoestrogens, hormones, parabens, a lot of chemicals that are going to disrupt your hormones, okay? The other thing is Hello Healthy Life. We have some brochures for anybody on the way out. That is an online store me and my wife run and use, a company that does non-GMO, completely non-GMO, all organic. They basically will not sell a darn thing to you unless it's non-GMO and organic, okay? Some may not be certified organic, but they confirm that they are grown or processed organically, okay? So Hello Healthy Life, greendotbox.com. So that is the website there for where you can get like flaxseed and different things like that. You can get kombuchas, teas, supplements, different things. So xenoestrogens, these come in toothpaste. We will oftentimes use Tom's without fluoride and a couple others. Deodorants are one of the biggest issues right now, disturbing female hormones. We even have aluminum and parabens. Parabens are found in 90-some% of breast tumors when biopsied and looked at for chemical carcinogens in the breast tumor. Parabens, we're putting the deodorant right underneath the armpit and is connected to lymph nodes that drain right through the breast tissue.
So what do you use for deodorant?
So deodorant?
Huh? I just make my own.
I have to ask, do I smell sometimes? Patients, be completely honest with me.
No.
No?
You be stinking. No.
Thank you, Neater. My wife can smell me, but I'm usually like, I'm moving so fast, you know, in here. I mean, usually I'm not like, yeah, you know. I give him a bear hug adjustment, but hopefully, well, good. I'm glad to hear that because I
hope in the
don't
morning
use
it's not after
deodorant.
a long
I
day
don't.
of work.
You can significantly lower your body odor by improving healthy bacteria on your skin, in your body. Again, reducing exposure to chemicals that are going to kill all the good bacteria, because that's when you make it available for the bad bacteria to overgrowth, and that will oftentimes lead to the body odors. Sunscreens are another thing. I do have that on there. Hormone disruptors, a ton of hormone disruptors in the sunscreens. Even vitamin A, ironically, healthy when you consume it orally, not healthy when you spread it on your skin. It's photocarcinogenic. The light radiation changes the molecular structure of vitamin A, then causing vitamin A to become carcinogenic, cancer-causing to your body. So I always joke around, it's not like you're supposed to take a carrot out and wipe it on your skin. You know, it's not the way God intended it to be used. So those are just some things. There's not just the chemicals that are in some things. It's sometimes the way we use the vitamins. Some things are supposed to go in our digestive tract, not on our skin. Reacts differently. So, but the deodorants with aluminum, stay completely away from aluminum. Major neurotoxin. And when you get into neurotoxins, because it's the nervous system, it can affect anything in your body, because your nervous system is what's controlling and regulating every single gland in your body that would produce a hormone. So if you disrupt the nervous system, you're disrupting everything. So food preservatives, lining of cans. What was that? No? Many plastics. I'm big on, like when we make bone broths and things like that, we use mason jars. We turn them on the side, don't fill them completely up, and we freeze them in mason jars. So we reduce the plastic, plastic bags, different things like that. You want to try and reduce the use of plastic, especially when you heat or freeze them, as much as possible. You want to reduce those things. Pyrex containers with lids, glass lids, with just a rubber seal around the edge that is or free of BPA. So commercial meats, high hormones in our meats, high antibiotic exposure. That's one of the worst things about our meat products, especially the poultry. Why do they? Hormone imbalance, and then we could almost like put the two together, weight loss resistance, hormone imbalances, right? Why do we feed antibiotics to cows and to chickens? Why do they feed antibiotics? It makes them bigger, faster, exactly right. Because it changes the bacterial ratios in their digestive tract, which allows them to then absorb more sugar and starches, and then thus gain more weight more rapidly. It doesn't break those down as much, break down the sugars before it's absorbed into the intestinal lining, into the bloodstream, and then we use that and pack on the pounds. So the studies in infants, children. If you're dealing with weight loss resistance you had for a very long time, restore healthy gut flora. Infants given antibiotics or not breastfed or born through cesarean section do not have the proper ratios of bacteria in the digestive tract, thus have significant risk of weight gain throughout their childhood years and lifetime. The probiotics here, we'll use this. My wife will supplement with probiotics there to make sure her body has the right ratio of healthy bacteria in her system. And then even I'll recommend women, and we've done this with our children while they're breastfeeding still, is to take this powder and dust it over the nipple to give baby an extra exposure there. Okay? So probiotics are something, is probably one of the best supplements to be taking, a good probiotic, because those probiotics, those good bacteria here, will ultimately mean what do you absorb and how do you absorb those nutrients. So it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. So herbicides, pesticides, household cleaners, those things. Really, right now we don't have to go time enough to go into all of these things, such as household cleaners, those types of things. My wife goes with Mommy's Club. Seventh Generation is a decent brand out there at the stores in town here. So reducing chemical use and cleaners. Exercise, especially interval training, longer endurance exercise, half hour or more, you'll start to raise cortisol levels. So utilizing exercise that is more high intensity, short duration training, burst training, interval training, those types of things. So sprinters have lower cortisol levels than marathon or Ironman triathletes. Okay? Sleep, quality sleep is crucial. All right? The reason I put a picture of a computer and a nightlight, I was like, yay, they got the nightlight and they got that. Any light, okay? Street lights, get blackout curtains, get a blue light filter. You can install blue light filter. Just write that down, blue light filters on all of your computers and cell phones, okay? Looking at your cell phone, looking at your computer screen, your body is absorbing blue light, they call it, and that will actually trigger your body to think that it's daylight, and thus it doesn't go into a normal day-to-day cycle. So TV in your bedroom, sadly we can't yet get blue light filters installed on TVs, but what you can do, and I have patients that do this, that they actually get glasses, they're like an orange tint to it, that can filter out blue light so it doesn't go into your body, so you don't absorb that through your eyes. So those are some ways to reduce that. It has been the answer to some people being able to sleep much, much better. Speaking of sleep and anxiety, mood, depression, taking the leaf and stem, okay? You throw the flower in there for extra benefit. Eat the fruit. This is not yet ripe completely. You want them to start to look like they're shriveling up, having wrinkles. Then the fruit would be completely ripe and edible then. Has a sweet, tangy taste to it, so you can eat that, but the entire plant is beneficial. So passion flower, all right, I was just talking to a patient today. He's like, all right, because of my radio show here, which is on 9 to 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, 1400 JZM. If you call in, and I'm not like, if you want to call in, ask a question, give a testimony, something, as long as you just call in and interact, I want to get community interaction on the radio station. You'll get 15% off when we confirm that you called into the radio station. Okay, I want some interaction. I want to interact, have questions, those types of things. But he was like, because I was talking about, I took a patient out back earlier, and I always laugh whenever I say I took somebody out back, because you beat the never snot out of them. No, I didn't do that. Taught them a lesson. Taught them a lesson on wild plants and the ability. This is everywhere. Patient's like, show me something. I took him out back. I'm like, here's wild blackberries, and here's some passion flower. And I'm like, here, this can be used as a tincture, make a tincture out of the stem and the leaves, or make tea out of it and drink that tea before you go to bed, and it'll help you sleep. Natural analgesic can lower pain. What's that?
That's a Tennessee state wildflower.
It is. You're exactly right. Definitely. Where my wife purchased a small plot of land is near Indian mounds, and there's tons of this stuff because the Indians used to use the root as a poultice, and they use that for wounds to improve and protect for healing purposes. They would use this entire plant, so they would actually cultivate and grow it for their medicine, traditional medicine. Spinal stress. Why did I put a car accident up there? It hurts your spine, right? Anxiety, thyroid disorders to be a result of whiplash injuries, fender benders. How would a car accident induce those chronic health issues, especially just simplifying it to, let's talk about thyroid. How would a car accident cause your thyroid to function poorly? And my patients will answer this perfectly well. The spine is out of alignment after the whiplash injury. Causes the head to fly forward and back. This is whiplash right there. The neck is actually reversed. It's basically where the spine should have a nice C curvature like this. The spine is reversed, creating compressive forces on the discs. As those discs deteriorate, as they get thinner, so will the holes for which your nerves branch out from your spinal cord. Okay, so if these discs deteriorate, more and more pressure on those nerves, what happens to the communication from the brain to the thyroid in this particular instance? It's cut off. I cut the nerves to your thyroid. It happens to your thyroid right now. Will it produce a single hormone? No. But what about TSH, doc? What about thyroid stimulating hormone? Because they always test that for thyroid disorders. And if TSH is high, they say that's what. I've had a medical physician tell one of my patients, oh, that's bogus. There's no way that spinal trauma could cause it. I'm like, well, these research studies prove the opposite. He's like, well, no, thyroid's not controlled by the nervous system. It's controlled by TSH, the pituitary, thyroid stimulating hormone. There is hormone regulation there. But still, what gives life to your thyroid? It's your central nervous system. Your brain still controls it. That's just a signal to tell you when to. You follow me? So, difference is there. That's why I suggest in this evening what we will do, because I've seen so many people deal with these things, and they'll try the nutritional things, they'll try the supplements, they'll try and do all these things correct, but then they just can't seem to get their hormones back in balance. They just can't seem to lose that little extra weight. Their cortisol level's still too high. Their body's still in dysregulation. We do x-rays. X-rays are very simple, taking pictures of your spine to see what alignment it's in. This is my invitation to all the guests here this evening, is to get your spine looked at. It's the most important structure and organ of your body because it's protecting the most important system of your body, which is your nervous system. Estrogen detox. A lot of our hormone disruptors, xenoestrogens, those things, soy, those types of things. Has anybody seen a vegan that literally looked, they were 30 years old, and they looked like they were 65, 70 years old? Yeah. Seen vegans that look like that. A plant-based diet is very, very healthy. But I can eat Twinkies every day, all day, and call myself a vegan. I can eat soy burgers, fake meats, all day long, and call myself a vegan. So just because they're vegan does not mean they're eating a nutritious and healthy diet, okay? Eat real food, don't eat fake foods. And guess what happens when you eat soy protein? Soy isolate protein or soy protein isolate increases IGF, insulin-like growth factor. More than anything else, increases insulin, increases growth. It's the aging hormone. Causes babies to grow very rapidly, causes cows. We used to think dairy was the best way to increase IGF and make you age. And then they come to find out that that only raised it about 40% versus soy protein increased it up to 60-some%. So the best way to increase your aging hormone was soy isolate protein. So reducing estrogen, though, detoxification, cruciferous vegetables and fiber, fermented foods, healthy fats, cleanse the liver, because your liver is going to break down old hormones and metabolize them. If your liver is not functioning properly, that organ system can be basically backing everything else up, causing estrogen to increase in the bloodstream, and thus now you have a hormone-dominant cancer. You have hormone imbalances. You're not producing enough progesterone. I have a lot of patients who will be taking progesterone creams, progesterone hormone. And the reality is, the only reason they're estrogen dominant and needing to take progesterone is because their liver is not functioning properly. If we can improve the liver function, we can improve the metabolism. That's why milk thistle has been shown to improve the liver's capability, because milk thistle improves liver health. It can actually stimulate new cells of the liver to grow after they've been damaged from alcohol or drug use or hepatitis and viral infections, antibiotic use. Those things have been in patients, in individuals' health recovered or liver function recovered from that. Statin medications cause dysfunction in a sluggish liver and damage to the liver. That's why they have to test for liver enzymes when taking statin or cholesterol medications. So improving liver function could oftentimes be the only thing that's necessary. That's where you should focus, not focus on all these adaptogenic herbs. That could be used in the meantime to help you cope with the hormonal disruption that you're dealing with, but oftentimes cleansing the liver is one of the best things to focus upon. Herbs where necessary. Increase alum foods. Those are your onions, garlic, different things like that. And then adaptogenic herbs. Targeted lifestyle changes. Again, walk away tonight with these key components that you need to begin to focus on. Simplified, advanced nutrition plan. Just improve your nutrition. Eat real food, not fake foods. Eat more plants, vegetables, obviously, fruits, those types of things. Eat a higher plant-based diet. Am I advocating for a completely vegan? No. What I'm advocating for is a high plant-based diet, okay? I'm talking 90% of your caloric intake or more. 95 would probably be the best, okay? If necessary, plant-based diets can improve survival rates with hormone-driven breast cancers, different diseases. So there's a time to use that in a therapeutic way. Spinal care, again, take care of the nervous system. Eliminate toxic exposures, detox, adaptogenic support, and nutraceuticals where necessary. Okay? Any questions? No? Well, excellent. Do we feel like we have enough to take home and at least start doing some things? Or is somebody sitting here like, I didn't learn a darn thing, I need something more? No? And be honest. Well, great. I taught everybody something tonight then. That's all I needed to do. Thank you. Yes? Question?
We have so much more information we want to share with you. So stop by our office located at 1715 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, Suite E.